Hi everyone. I am going to show you a little bit of what we're going to be practicing. So this right here is vertex form, and this might seem super familiar when we were doing some of this earlier. I made a mistake and, blah, blah, blah. So some of you guys might have seen this. But vertex form holds a whole lot, and I bet you could imagine that it holds where the vertex of the equation is. Now, the other way to write this, which we focused more on in our transformations unit, was this. Okay, and so that right there was that included the transformation vector and the parent function of y equals x squared. So we might have, after we saw a function, moved it, we might have gotten this. Okay, these two things are exactly the same thing. So if we were to think of where's the vertex, well, remember, it's all about how you get back home, right? So what this means is we moved right 2 to get back home, and we moved up 5 to get back home. Okay, so we have to undo those to get to where the vertex was, to, like, I guess you would say, get away from home, right? So that means we would subtract 2 and we would subtract 5. And so if we write that as a vertex, that means that we would have a vertex of -2, -5. Okay, so that's just a little bit of side information. We'll get to some of that. Don't freak out if this is a bit confusing. But the real part of today's lesson is to get back into some algebra with this stuff to allow us to solve more. So if we look at this, the directions will say put this is in vertex form, okay? And the goal is to get it in standard form. And standard form is going to look something like y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are just numbers. Okay, they could be 0, but they're just numbers. So what we're going to do with this is the y side's going to stay as it is. Our final answer is going to have a y equals. But what we're going to do is we've got to multiply this out. Some of you might think of it as FOIL it out to be able to get this into a form where we can look at it in standard form. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is x plus 2 squared. Just like 2 squared is 2 times 2, x plus 2 squared is x plus 2 times x plus 2. So right there, write that. Now remember, this is not equal to x squared plus 4. No, 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 no. I used to joke last year that it would break your math teacher's heart. Okay, don't break my heart from afar. Please do not. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is, in my opinion, it actually makes it a little easier to do this first. So y equals 3 times, and then I'm going to distribute this out. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 2 is 4. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. Okay, some of you might like to think of this as the box method. X plus 2, x plus 2, and then you can distribute it out like that. It's up to you. Okay, so then I'm going to combine my like terms, and then I'm going to distribute that 3. Notice I'm just bringing everything else around, taking it one step at a time. Now I'm going to distribute the 3 to everything. And now I still have that -5 in the parentheses. Don't really mean anything, okay? And then I'm going to combine my like terms again. And I get my answer. This is my answer. This is in standard form. You might be thinking, why? Part of the reason why we're doing this is it's good algebra practice. Part of the reason is just to notice that two things that look so different, this and this, highlighter. This holds certain amounts of information and this does. Okay. So what I think is pretty cool with this is we get to see that that they can look different and they can still represent the same equation. And we were doing that with factoring before too. Okay, let's try a second one. Sorry, I'm taking forever. I'm not good at this whole videoing thing. Hopefully I get better. But a lot of you said you'd really like it if I did some videos rather than other videos. And I heard that feedback loud and clear. Okay, so this one I chose because there's a negative here. That's the same as a -1. If it had been a -2, we'd still treat it the same. So now I'm going to do the same thing. My goal is to remember x minus 1 squared is x minus 1 times x minus 1. So I'm going to leave the -1 there, and I'm going to expand this. Now, some of you, I'm sure, are probably thinking, do I have to write all that out? No, you don't. If you can do it right, awesome. But you need to be doing you don't want to be doing most of the problem in your head. You want to think about if there's a percentage, you want to do more than 50% of the problem on paper so you can see your thinking on the off chance that you make a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to leave the -1 out here, and I'm going to distribute here. Now, for those of you who up here were like, I don't know how she did that, let me do it using one of our tools. Okay, so x and -1, x and -1. Okay, x times x is x squared. X times -1 is -1x. X times -1 is -1x. And -1 times -1 is +1. This is kind of nice because then we can combine right away. So what we end up getting is x squared minus 2x plus 1. Cool. Let's save ourselves a step. I like that. X squared minus 2x plus 1. And then we bring down our plus 2. Okay. So for those of you that are getting a little confused with all of this is the equivalent of this right now. Not the final problem, but those are equivalent. Okay, now I'm going to distribute this -1. And I get y equals -x squared plus 2x minus 1. And then the parentheses don't matter. And last but not least, I'm going to combine my like terms. That is equivalent to that. They hold different bits of information. Okay, just like a quadratic equation or a factored form would hold different pieces of information. We're going to be getting to that. But I really believe in this distance learning, slow and steady wins the race. So we're going to be looking at these things, looking at them in detail, doing a little bit of practice and trying not to overwhelm you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this week works well for you. Reach out if you need anything.